I gave my partner an ultimatum about our future, and his reaction sent my world into a spiral. I, 31F, told Alex, 35M, that I wouldn't celebrate our upcoming 10-year anniversary unless he proposed. We've been together for 9 years, living together in his small city center apartment for the last 6. When I brought up last night, his dismissive shrug and mumbled, "Can we not do this now?" felt like a physical blow. But then, as I was fighting back tears, he sighed and said, "I'm only avoiding this because I had something planned." You're ruining the surprise. To understand the weight of that moment, you have to understand us. Our story began in university. 2 shy students bonding over a shared love of indie cinemas and terrible pizza. He was my first real everything. We built a life brick by brick. We've weathered job losses, the loss of his father, and a rough patch about 3 years ago where we almost called it quits. We went to couples counseling, learned to communicate better, and came out stronger. For the last 2 years, it's been perfect. He's my best friend. He's kind, incredibly so, not just to me, but to everyone he meets. He supported me emotionally and financially when I went back to school to change careers. We travel well together, we have silly rituals, and our daily life is a comfortable, loving routine. We are married in every sense, but the legal and ceremonial one. And that's the crux of it. The ceremony, the recognition, the deliberate, conscious step into a defined future. It matters to me deeply. It's not about a ring or a party for Instagram. It's about standing in front of the people who matter most to us and saying, "We choose this forever." It's about the intentionality of it. I want to be his wife. I want to plan that day with him, to feel the collective joy of our families celebrating. Where I'm from, a wedding is a vanity project. It's a profound community gathering, a ritual that marks a before and an after. I've voiced this many times. Over the past year, as we inch closer to a decade together, my hints became more direct. I'd point out venues I liked. I'd talk about my cousin's beautiful, simple wedding. He'd smile and nod, say, "That's nice, babe," or "We could do something like that." But there was no forward motion, no initiative. The uncertainty started to poison my happiness. Resentment built with every Facebook announcement. Every time an acquaintance asked, "When's your turn?" with a pitying look. I felt stagnant while our friends bought houses and started families. I'd given him soft ultimatums, framed as jokes but laced with truth. I'm not putting my name on a mortgage with someone I'm not married to, and I'm not celebrating 10 years as just a girlfriend. He'd laugh them off, but they weren't jokes. I was terrified. How could I walk away from a man who was, in all other ways, my perfect match? Yet, how could I stay, forever feeling like my deepest dream was a nuisance to him? His statement about having something planned threw me into chaos. Was it a pathetic excuse to shut me up, or was it the truth? My mind became a battleground. 1 minute, I'd replay his dismissive tone, the way he looked at the TV instead of at me. The next, I'd remember the secretive smile he had last week when I mentioned a restaurant we loved, and he quickly changed the subject. I reread our text threads in the past month, searching for clues. He'd been asking more questions about my ideal timeline lately. He'd made a comment about my ring size in relation to a lost bracelet. Were these signs, or was I, in my desperation, constructing a fantasy? The week that followed was agony. I oscillated between hope and despair. I was careful not to bring up marriage again, terrified of spoiling a potential surprise, yet equally terrified I was being a fool. I watched him like a hawk, analyzing every call he took in another room. Every time he said he was running an errand that took longer than usual. My anxiety, which I struggled with my whole life, was in overdrive. The algorithms on my social media, as if sensing my turmoil, fed me endless stories of women who waited 15 years for a proposal that never came, of men who strung their partners along. I felt sick. We had a major trip to Portugal coming up, a vacation we'd booked 6 months prior to celebrate my new job. As the departure date neared, the tension within me reached a peak. Was this it? Was a beautiful coastal cliff in Algarve something planned? The logical part of me screamed that if he'd had a real plan, my ultimatum wouldn't have provoked such a dismissive reaction first. The hopeful, loving part whispered that maybe he was just flustered, bad at keeping secrets, and my confrontation had thrown him. The flight was tense, at least for me. He seemed unusually quiet, contemplative. I spent the hours pretending to watch movies, my heart pounding. Upon arrival, Lisbon was stunning, bathed in golden light. We fell into our familiar travel rhythm, getting lost in winding alleys, sharing pasties and nada, laughing at our mispronunciations. For moments, I'd forget the elephant in the room, and it would just be us again, Alex and Mia, a team. Then I'd catch him looking at me with an intense, unreadable expression, and the doubt would come rushing back. We spent a few days in Lisbon before renting a car to drive south. The plan was to spend a week exploring the coast. On our 5th day, we arrived at a small, secluded cove near Lagos. It was late afternoon, the sun beginning its descent, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. The cliffs were dramatic, the water a breathtaking turquoise. It was empty except for us. We spread out a blanket and sat in comfortable silence, watching the waves. "This spot is incredible," I said, breathing in the salty air. "How did you find it?" He was quiet for a moment. I did a lot of research. I wanted it to be perfect. Something in his voice made my breath catch. He wasn't looking at the view. He was looking at me. His usual calm demeanor was replaced with nervous energy. He fidgeted with the edge of the blanket. "Mia," he began, his voice softer than usual. "You know I'm not great with big speeches. Or with surprises, apparently." He gave a weak chuckle, referencing my ultimatum night. My heart was now hammering against my ribs. I couldn't speak. When you said that about not celebrating our anniversary, it gutted me. Not because you were wrong to want more, but because I realized how badly I'd been communicating. That dismissive thing I did, that was a panic, because I had been planning this for months. But after our rough patch years ago, I became so scared of messing things up again. I wanted everything to be absolutely, perfectly right before taking this step. I wanted to be a husband you'd never doubt for a second. In trying to create the perfect moment, I almost created the biggest regret of my life by making you feel insecure. He reached into his pocket, and time seemed to slow down. He didn't produce a ring box immediately. Instead, he pulled out his phone, tapped a few times, and set it aside, pointed at us. I barely registered it. "I love you," he said, the words thick with emotion. "I have loved you since you laughed at my stupid joke in that dank cinema 9 years ago. I love the life we've built. You are my home. And you're right. It's not enough to just live it. It deserves to be celebrated, declared, and cemented. I want all of it with you. The party, the legal papers, the boring tax filings, the whole journey. I want to be your husband." Then he finally pulled out a small velvet box. He didn't open it yet. He held it in his palm, his hand trembling slightly. "My plan was to do this here tomorrow at sunset, but you've never been patient, and honestly, I can't wait another minute." He opened the box. Inside wasn't traditional diamond, but a beautiful, unique ring with a sapphire flanked by 2 small diamonds, my birthstone and his. It was utterly perfect. So us. "Mia," he said, taking my hand, "will you marry me? Will you finally let me become your husband?" Tears blurred my vision, streaming down my face freely. All the anxiety, the resentment, the months of painful uncertainty melted away, replaced by a wave of sheer unadulterated love and relief. It wasn't just a proposal. It was his words, his vulnerability, the acknowledgement of his mistake, the proof of his intention. He had seen me. He had been listening. Yes, I choked out, my voice barely a whisper. Then louder, laughing through my tears. Yes, 1,000 times yes. He slid the ring onto my finger, a perfect fit, and pulled me into a kiss that tasted of salt from the sea and my tears. It was, without a doubt, the most profound moment of my life. As we pulled apart, foreheads touching, he gestured to his phone. "I got it," he said, a genuine, proud smile breaking through. "I wanted us to have it, to remember how your face looked when you finally understood." We stayed on that cliff until the stars came out, talking, dreaming, planning out loud. He told me about his secret meetings with my best friend to choose the ring, about the spreadsheet he'd made of potential locations, about his anxiety over getting it all right. I told him about my own torment, my fear that he didn't want the same things. We communicated more openly in those few hours than we had in the preceding year of hints and worries. The rest of the trip was a blissful, engaged bubble. We called our families from a seaside cafe, their screams of joy echoing down the line. We celebrated with a simple, incredible dinner, toasting to our future. The shadow was gone, replaced by a bright, shared path forward. Back home, everything felt different, even as our daily life resumed. The small apartment felt like a cozy nest for our new beginning, not a stagnant trap. We started planning in earnest, not just a wedding, but our life. We met with a financial advisor to discuss saving for a house. We looked at venues online together, laughing at the absurdly expensive ones. The energy between us was revitalized, collaborative, and brimming with excitement. Our 10-year anniversary did happen, a month after the proposal. We celebrated in a fancy restaurant, not as a boyfriend and girlfriend clinging to a milestone, but as an engaged couple, a team launching their next chapter. I wore my ring, and he couldn't stop looking at my hand, a look of proud possession in his eyes. Looking back, I understand the journey now. My ultimatum, though born from pain, was the catalyst we needed. It forced a hidden plan into the light and forced us to have the raw, honest conversation that had been lurking beneath the surface of our perfect relationship. His initial dismissal was a misstep, a clumsy attempt to protect surprise, but it revealed a crucial flaw in our communication. We both learned that surprises aren't as important as security, that a perfect moment is less valuable than a partner who feels seen and valued every day. The story of our engagement isn't just about a beautiful cliffside in Portugal. It's about the 9 years of building that led there, the stumble that almost broke us apart, and the powerful, deliberate choice we both made to step forward together into a defined and joyful future. I finally have my certainty, and it's more profound than any ring or party. It's the certainty of a man who, when faced with the potential of losing me, didn't just tell me he loved me. He showed me, with intention, clarity, and a perfect sapphire blue promise.